Hi everyone, welcome to my talk. I'm going to be chatting about mixed reality and theatre productions and kind of where the Imaginarium fits into that at the moment. So, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm Glenn Kelly from Head of Production, the Imaginarium Studios. We were set up as a motion capture studio, and inadvertently, without even realizing it, we're a virtual production studio because we not only capture body motion, but we've been looking at cameras and how that integrates with real time for the last 7 years. It's only been recently that has become a thing, though. It was set up by actor-director Andy Serkis about 7 years ago, and about 2 years ago we split into two businesses, a studio portion that focuses on the performance capture and the virtual production, and a production company. And today we're really exploring how virtual production, these tools that have been developed for the film and TV and video game world, can fit into live productions. And that leads me on to talk about our partnership with Magic Leap. In 2017, we formed an official partnership to create content for the Magic Leap 1 platform. If you don't know what Magic Leap is, it's augmented reality goggles, spatial computing, mixed reality. Everyone's got their own name for it. For shorthand, we just call it MR, mixed reality, which I think is Microsoft's. So Magic Leap, I'm very sorry, but branding. I need to do a very quick shout out though. Magic Leap has supported us in creating content. They've not only funded it, they've given us technical support, devices. They've been there on the ground with us developing this content because, to be completely honest, it's a completely new field and we had no idea what we were doing when we started. We literally said, let's try and get some performance captured characters running live on these devices. And at the time we didn't know if it would work. The piece I'm going to talk about today is called The Grinning Man. Now, this was done in partnership with Magic Leap. Basically, Andy Serkis went to see a theatre production in London at Trafalgar Studios, loved it, went behind stage, said, hey guys, this is amazing. The producers were there. He said, what's happening next with this? Where's it going on the road? And they went, oh no, it's ending. That's it, it's done. And so he came into work the next day and said to us, we need to save this. We need to do something that bottles it. It's too great a performance not to save. Now, The Grinning Man itself, directed by Tom Morris, and Carl, Tim, and Mark, the creatives behind the show, were also massively supportive of this. The show itself is a very traditional musical piece. It is a very small stage, 15 cast members, puppets, no real technology and show on stage. What was very lucky was the stage size happens to correlate pretty much exactly with our stage in Ealing, which was quite a good thing. The Grinning Man itself is a show within a show within a show within a show, which is fun for us to play with on augmented reality devices. And finally, it's 15 people at once on stage, and we didn't actually know if that was possible to capture in one hit. I'm going to show you a bit of a video that gives an overview of the process, and then I'll talk a little bit more about how we did it.
Prepare yourself for a tale so utterly horrid and yet strangely uplifting. Here.
I was fortunate enough to go and see the penultimate performance of The Grinning Man at the Trafalgar Studios. Everything about it, the subject matter, the fact that it was a play within a play within a play, the puppeteering, everything. I just started to get images of this show as a motion captured piece.
Gift of love has given me life, my sorrow and heartache you have melted.
The whole notion of capturing a theatrical production is brand new. This hasn't been done before.
This is the most advanced technology in terms of motion capture that exists. But there's a sense that if it all works, the product at the end will be something that no one's ever seen before.
People have cancelled holidays, people have rearranged jobs, people have postponed job interviews, and it's just been fantastic how people have basically rallied and cleared their diaries to make it happen.
And firing in 3, 2, 1.
The Imaginarium was born out of, I'd like to do Shakespeare's plays as video games, or to take theatre and take the performances that have been worked on by actors over a course of a rehearsal period, and then somehow, create a future life for them.
In many ways, it is quite close to theatre. This morning, we were in this room saying, here's a box of wood, we're going to pretend it's a ship. But surrounding us is this extraordinary technology which will be able to make it a ship, any kind of ship you like.
It's a bit weird having something strapped around your head. I guess you just ignore it. It's kind of easy to ignore because the camera's sort of just below your eye line, so you can play out as normal, talking to a normal person.
One fascinating aspect of it is that the actors are in control of the performances which will be delivered by avatars. So the actors are almost puppeteering animated versions of themselves with great precision.
It's been my first time transitioning a piece from theatre to mocap, and I just thought, how on earth will I get the transition right? So what I started to do at first was to just imagine my costume, which I'm one of the ones I'm wearing right now, and imagine the heels, because when we're filming mocap, I can't wear them. So it's just about keeping my body the way how I would be when I was on stage, remembering that there is a swish here, and remembering that I'm wearing a cage, and remembering that I am this tall.
This camera. Yeah. And when
We had a conversation at the beginning, which was about the scale of performance. Should the actors play big, as if they're in a theatre, or small, as if they're on a film? And it has to be a combination of the two, because we think that what we're creating might enable an audience to wander around in the middle of a performance.
What we have here at the Imaginarium are people who are very attuned now to working with a lot of different creative forms of expression, because what you're able to do in this world is not just like a particular take as you would in film. You're able to split up performances within that take. Of course, the characters are recorded in 3D, so you can slip timing, you can reposition, and it does encourage you to explore and take risks. And it's not like being on a film set where you've got a lot of lights and you're under a lot of pressure, and there's maybe a big gap before you're shooting. You can work very, very quickly and intuitively and redo scenes and shoot whole scenes.
When I think from the point of view of the theatre in Bristol, we've got this extraordinary 250-year-old theatre. It's the oldest working theatre in the English-speaking world, very atmospheric place. It may be that this kind of technology can enable someone in Hong Kong or Georgia to experience that very unique theatre.
My story ends here. Your story begins.
What's so incredible about this is that we have these performances now. They're in the bottle, if you like. They can be manifested in countless ways on countless platforms. Who knows, in 10, 20 years' time, someone else might come up with a different design for the characters. We can enlarge their heads, we can enlarge features, make their brows more hooded, make their noses bigger, design them in whatever way we choose to. It won't be too long in the future when you'll be able to buy the data and put your own designs on the character and bring it to life as a sort of as a show that you're creatively involved with as well. This is the Imaginarium, and there's a very, very good reason why we wanted to call it that, because it is something within which you get into the space, and it's like it's a cathedral to the imagination.
Cool. So that was us capturing the Grinning Man. Now the difference, for those that are aware of the process of doing motion capture, you might ask yourself, well, what's the difference between that and capturing for a film or a TV show or a video game? Well, the answer is we didn't have an output in mind. We captured this with the intent that it could go to multiple different platforms. Now, one of them being Magic Leap, for sure. In a minute, I'll show you a version that we've got running on Magic Leap. But really, what we had to do was ensure that all of the raw components of the performance, including the performers, the staging, the position on stage, the interaction with one another, was all there so that it could be ported to any platform today or in the future. As Andy mentioned at the end, the idea was that this data might not just drive an exact replica of this show. It could be handed out and sent out into the world, and people, students, other artists could put their own spin on this IP. So basically, this is what we did. I'm giving away all the secrets here. This is pretty much an original, this is a pipeline we would do for film, TV, the difference being that at the very top there's a digital character, we have no idea where it's going. So the important aspects that we found and the things that we focused on facts and body scans of the actors. Now, you have to do not just one, because some platforms can't do digital clothing, so you have to scan them in their costumes. And some platforms do want digital clothing, so you've got to scan them in kind of a skin suit. Fact sessions, if you want your characters to talk and move the way the actor performed, the little subtleties of it, you have to make sure you get a full facts range, 52 to 100 different poses, to guarantee your face rigs will work. Then, during the production, you have to make sure that you're doing facial capture in line with your body data. And then finally, all of this needs to be linked together with timecode and genlock, because if you don't do that, down the line you hand this data off and it's all just a jumble of mixed information. So it all has to be synced together. This pipeline right here is what we used on Grinning Man. We've refined it since then. We captured it over 2 years ago. Today, if we were to do it again, there's of course some things we would change. We would hopefully not do 15 characters at once, if I'm being honest. That is pushing the system. And we would also look to spread it out over a little bit more time. Now, by that I mean we captured a 2 hour and 20-minute piece of content, a full feature film length content, in 5 days. Yeah. Now, of course, it's not ready to be shown to the world in that regard, but we captured a feature film's worth of content. In actual fact, we captured 2 feature film lengths because we did every take twice. In 5 days. And that is all the components that could be needed to turn it into something. And this is the version for Magic Leap. Now, this is running on Magic Leap. This is just a render out, but this is an example of that. This is a video, so if we could hit play on that, please. Oh. Gotta play. This is Julian Beach, the lead actor. He plays Barkilphedro in the show. Not going to play. No, that's a no. Okay, it's a shame. Basically, this is a GPU, mobile GPU rendered version of the show. So at the time that we did this, this was straight after capture 2 years ago, a little bit, 6 months after capture. We had to get it running on Magic Leap for LeapCon. These costumes are the body scan of Julian. It was him in his costume. It's not rigged. The whole costume itself is kind of static on the body. The face rig is about 10% of where it would be. And of course, at this point, most mobile GPU platforms couldn't do dynamic lighting. They couldn't do dynamic cloth. And if I could show it to you, you would see that. But it's all doesn't matter. Right. I was talking about the different platforms it could go to. So in that week of capture with the cast, what we got is the raw data to go on any of these platforms. Any of them. Of course, traditional. Video screens, TV, VOD, all of that. If someone was to fund it, we could make a 2 hour and 20-minute feature film of this show as it was performed on the stage. VR. Very exciting platform for us. We have a couple of Valve indexes lying around the stage in London, and the rendering capability of those is amazing. It gives you full immersion. It is standalone in VR, we find. It's a very isolating experience, but that in and of itself is exciting. We have a 10 by 10 meter stage in Ealing, so if you put the Vive headset on, you can literally wander around the performance as it's going on around you. More exciting for us is this third column. XR, mixed reality, spatial computing. This gives the most flexibility because you can scale it up or scale it down. Everything from tabletop theater, we can take a 2 hour and 20-minute show and put it in front of students in a classroom on a table in front of them. They can have a shared experience, all wearing Magic Leap headsets at once, all watching the show play out exactly the same time. They can talk about it, they can pause it. Teachers can go in there, point out positioning, show the staging. This is really exciting possibilities. You still get the 6 degrees of freedom. You get the scaling. Of course, mobile GPU rendering needs to catch up, but that's coming. We all know it's coming. The big one for us as well is the remote communities. The chance to take a Peli case load of Magic Leap devices or HoloLenses or any type of augmented reality goggles into a community that doesn't have a theater, doesn't have a space for cultural events, and basically put one on. The version we have running on Magic Leap at the moment is 5 minutes. It includes the staging, it includes the characters, it includes the props. It's a very exciting area, of course. The other one for me, The XR ability of Quest, the portable, I know it's a VR headset, but it does have some AR capabilities with its cameras. We've been playing with that as well. Right, onto virtual production. This leads me to talk about virtual production tools and live performance. So Grinning Man is very much a piece we've captured that will go onto devices. Our plan, and something we were involved with about 7 years ago, was the RSC's version of The Tempest. And this was a live digital character running on stage alongside real actors. At the time, we just called that real time. Today, we would call that virtual production. It's used in film and TV. The big one recently has been The Mandalorian, which has been using virtual production tool sets to create pretty much all the major scenes. This is a demo from Unreal. It's available online as well. It shows kind of their virtual production tool set that was used on The Mandalorian. And above, that's our original virtual camera that we have on our stage in Ealing. The virtual production tools that we have available, the ability to drive characters in real time, is going to fundamentally change the way live productions play out. You may have seen, especially in areas like Japan and South Korea, they're doing a lot more AR-driven hosts and a lot of AR-driven live characters in mostly streaming situations at the moment, but that won't be long before that's TV and even some larger events. This is the pipeline for doing live characters. So basically what we do is you put the bulk of the work, similar to what we said before, in the pre-production. It's going back to the original film model. You do your fact scans, you do your body scans, you bring those together into a digital rig and you test the living hell out of it. You run it through the gauntlet, you break it and you fix it. You do new retargeting profiles and you fix it. You make it do cartwheels and then you fix it. Once you have done all the testing and you've spent months building this thing, you put it into a game engine and you bring all the other components together. Live face. There are several companies out there at the moment doing live facial capture and driving. Cubic Motion in the UK and Dynamics out of France are the two that that we've had the most experience with and are giving the best results at the moment. There are plenty more out there. Some of them have been gobbled up by your Apples and your Microsofts and your Facebooks. Damn them. There was some real potential there and they took it away from us. That's fine. There's definitely some platforms coming up. This is getting better and faster every day. Motion capture, body capture is getting better as well. Vicon is the company that we use, Vicon cameras out of Oxford in the United Kingdom. Optitrack is another one. These systems themselves are coming down in price with the advent of large-scale interactive VR spaces. That tech is really driving that. It's really exciting. This can all be combined together to give a live digital character in real time. The output of this, where this goes to, well, this event is filled with options. Live LED screens, projection, you get projection mesh layers up and you can get yourself a 3D hologram effect. There is so many different ways of outputting this, and basically out of Unreal Engine, the engine that we use, game engine we use from Epic Games, you pretty much spits out a 4K Ultra HD stream. You can send that to anything. There's some events coming up where you could even potentially merge that with real, so I don't need to be here. It could be my digital avatar standing here. You could all be wearing Magic Leaps and streaming myself from London on stage. Don't think it'd be very exciting, but it's possible. This pipeline is also the virtual production pipeline that we would use on film and TV. There's no difference. So as that stuff pushes forward, we will see even more innovation in this space. Impact on live performances. Well, at the moment, the impact is really money. At the moment, it's not cheap to do that. Can be completely honest. You would need to throw cash at it. But of course, like anything, the more it's done, the cheaper it will get. The big one for us is the next kind of RSC was 7 years ago, and that was a partnership between ourselves. The RSC, The Tempest, was 7 years ago. It was Intel, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and the Imaginarium Studios. That was 7 years ago, and we had a live character running on stage for 100+ performances, and I think there was a failure rate of maybe 0.1% on that. So we'd really love to do one with multiple characters now. The big thing for me, working around the theatre world with this, is that the techniques of theatre really are what drive film world today. The acting techniques, the staging, building all of that really drove what became the film world. And now it's time for the film world to give back to theatre. The ability to include live digital characters on stage, the ability to have sets that magically change, that transition, seamless LED screens built into staging that are driven by game engine real time, that can react to the lighting, can react to the real-time position of actors on stage, not just a static back wall, but something that really becomes part of the performance. All of that is possible using virtual production techniques today. The other one, the thing that excites me and something I've seen some demonstrations of, is real-time projection mapping onto actors, augmenting their costumes with projection. That itself leads to some amazing possibilities. The Tempest used projection in a sense of onto screens and onto meshes. It didn't use it onto characters, but imagine if you could suddenly create costumes that morph and blend with the environment and cause actors to disappear and reappear on stage live. All of that will be possible, and you wanted something? It's possible now if someone's willing to throw enough money at it. The other big one, and the exciting one for us because we do love apes and Godzilla and all of that, is live non-digital humans on stage. No longer will they be kind of stuck in the film and TV world. What we'd like to see and push is these non-humanoid characters live on stage being driven by performance capture. What's it going to take to get us there? Well, realistically, to add mixed reality to events right now, if you really wanted to add characters in a way that was kind of immersive and there, you'd have to distribute 100, 200 Magic Leap or HoloLenses to your audience. Is that practical? Not really. But it's getting there. All of that technology is moving very, very fast and will get there. So it's going to take new devices coming to market and existing devices to get their second and third generation. HoloLens is on Generation 2, Magic Leap is on Generation Enterprise, which is just Generation 1 plus. You've got Nreal, you've got several other options coming out at the moment. All of that's very exciting. The more they release, the more likely we are to start seeing this used in productions. Exposure and normalization is the other one. While all of us here at these sort of shows are very aware of what's out there, the general public isn't. They're really not. As much as Oculus Quest sold out before Christmas, it's still not mainstream. I still show friends who don't know what it is. So it's getting that out to the general public, outside of events like this, just into the hands of everyday people. Increased rendering power and viewing angle. I'm going to say that for the rest of my life. Nothing's ever going to be perfect, even when we get to like Ready Player One level, but you never know. And the true benefit, and I mentioned it before, for us is that this technology will allow audiences that don't have access to cultural events, don't have access to shows, to theatre, to gain access. It allows it allows the bottling of cultural shows that are lost to time. This will allow things to be taken from, say, London and shown to classrooms in Australia and Indonesia. This technology and the use of mixed reality devices and performance capture combined will open up accessibility to brand new audiences. A show that played to 100 people in London could go online, could be captured, and then given to the world and then get an audience of millions. It really is something that we believe will happen. As I said, we captured 2 hours and 20 minutes in a single week. And it was not excessively expensive to do the capture portion. So the chance to bottle it now for later, especially if anyone's got any links to Hamilton, would be very interested in capturing Hamilton, if anyone's out there. We do see that it is, the possibility of this technology is literally to time capsule cultural events from today for the future generations to view on whatever devices are out there then. Thank you.